Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, where we get to sit down and talk with interesting professional guitar players and related music industry experts. If you love playing guitar, stick around. You're in the right place. This is Craig Garber, and welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, podcast number 43. Today's topic, the right and wrong ways to list gear for sale. So, a while ago, I did an episode about some weird stuff that happened to me when I sold some guitar gear on Craigslist. And at the time, I said I would have another episode which discussed the right and wrong way to sell stuff on Craigslist. And this is just the right and wrong way to sell stuff on Craigslist. This is just the right way to sell stuff online, whether it's gear or anything else. And, basically, I want to just share some experiences that I've had with you. And these are really just like, 8 or 9 strategies that are good selling strategies that I've used successfully over the last 18 years in a variety of businesses. My day gig is functioning as a consultant in a marketing capacity. So I typically go in and I will help companies build sales funnels and develop back ends and just ways of cross-selling and upselling. And there's certain things that you can do in your selling process that are pretty straightforward and simple to do, but they make whatever you're selling a little easier to sell, and they make you a little more believable. So I just thought I'd pass some of these things along in case that you're looking at selling some gear or anything else you're selling, because you can use these strategies in anything, but they definitely work with gear. I've used them. Anyway, so let's go. Number one, it's really important to be transparent. So one thing you have to realize is that when you are trying to sell somebody something, there's an actual relationship going on in the buyer's mind. And that's because they're evaluating your trustworthiness. They're trying to figure out, can they believe you and are you credible? And the two things are slightly different, but basically, can they believe you means, are you telling the truth? And do they think you're telling the truth? And are you credible means, do you have the right to be making the claims you're making or the things you're saying? We're not going to get that much into this, but one of the ways that you become believable is by being transparent and showing any flaws that exist. So, for instance, if I was selling a guitar, and I have sold guitars like this, and there's a scratch on there, or there's 3 or 4 scratches on there, but they're small, I'll say the guitar has 4 scratches, 4 small nicks on it, and I've included them in photos. And when you're doing that, that's it. There's no more skepticism about, oh, there's really a lot more nicks, or, this guy isn't telling the truth. The problem is most people don't do that. They say this guitar is in perfect condition. And of course you buy it and it's scratched up, scuffed up. And even if it's not, just because someone says it's in perfect condition, let's face it, there are very few guitars in, quote, perfect condition. So you're much better off saying this guitar is just as clean as it was when I brought it out from the store, except for these 4 small nicks, which is obviously not a true statement because it's just as clean, except that's a pretty big disclaimer. But you could say this guitar is in near mint condition. The only problem is there's these 4 scratches on it, and 2 are here and 2 are here. And I've shown them in the 3rd through 6th picture above. And if you have any questions about them, let me know. Or you could say, in picture number 3, I got this scratch when I passed the guitar to my drummer and he had a belt buckle on and he tried to play it. This scratch here happened because my younger brother was around and he knocked the guitar up against my desk and I nearly had a heart attack. I was so pissed off at him, whatever. But the point is, you should be transparent and show the flaws, because the problem is, if you don't do that, people aren't going to believe you. And if you don't do that and you're lying, that's just not cool in the first place. Like if you're not telling something, let's say your tuners suck and you're just hoping that somebody buys it and then, it's their problem, they should have known better. That's not cool. You're better off disclosing that. And I don't want to get into a whole story about, whose fault is it and who's supposed to be responsible, but just be transparent and show your flaws. I'm trying to show you the point of today's episode is to give you some tips that'll help you be more effective at selling. Number 2, offer standards of comparison. Sorry, I got a knows his stuff suddenly. So what I mean by offer standards of comparison is this. If you are selling something, don't necessarily assume everybody else knows what that item sells for, because they may not. You might think, hey, anybody wanting to buy this knows what this 1999 Telecaster sells for, but they don't necessarily. So, and this is even more important when you're selling a non-standard, non-commodity type, read between the lines, non-Fender, non-Gibson, non-Ibanez, non-PRS guitar, something that's not real common. So you are far better served, as is your potential buyer, by saying this guitar is similar to this guitar, which sells for this amount of money. Or I checked on Reverb, and this guitar usually sells for anywhere between $800 and $1,200. I thought $1,149 was great, considering that the guitar is in great shape, except for this one little flaw over here. I had a sticker on it, and I pulled the sticker off, and the little dot won't go away. Or whatever it is. But if you offer standards of comparison or places where they could find standards of comparison, you are, in a sense, governing your buyer's perception of what that item should be worth, as opposed to saying nothing and now you're just hoping that they know what it's worth. Again, if you're selling mainstream items, this really isn't that important. But if you're selling stuff that's custom, one-off, limited runs, not a popular brand, something that's older and there aren't a lot of standards of comparison out there, it's important that you do this. And maybe you just pull out a chapter and verse from, hey, I looked at the vintage guitar Bible of used Ibanez hollow bodies from the 1990s, and here's what I found. So you offer up the standard of comparison. This way people can make a value determination as to whether or not they want to buy your guitar. Number 3, you want to speak in what I call cup of coffee language. This usually isn't a problem for musicians and creatives and people selling stuff, because they, more than anybody else, tend to speak in plain and simple English, in layman's terms. They know how to have fun, how to use normal jargon, how to have fun with their descriptions. But if you happen to be selling something, or if your personality is such that you're an academic, let's say, or you're a dentist, or you're somebody that is highly intellectual and maybe a little socially awkward, you're going to err on the side of being too technical and too formal. And when you speak like that, it alienates people. It's not warm and fuzzy. It's not easy to understand. I work out, and many years ago I used to buy like a lot of supplements when I thought they did anything, when I was young and foolish. And there's one guy who sells a product, and I know the guy because he used to live, or his office was not far from where I lived. And I actually met with him a few times because he was doing some consulting on something, which I think I was involved with. Anyway, his ads were so scientific. It was like reading a prospectus from a new stock. I would read these ads, and I always consider myself at least like maybe reasonably intelligent or average intelligence, maybe average plus. And I would read through these ads, and I would get through them, and I felt like a complete idiot. And I said, man, only a degreed and licensed nutritionist can possibly understand what's going on here. And I don't know if he sold a lot of product or not. I would say he probably didn't, but speak to people in cup of coffee language. And just because you might be intellectually smart, don't get your reading vocabulary confused with your verbal lexicon, because the amount of words that people use in a given day ranges around 200. However, the amount of words you typically read is much greater than that. And oftentimes people will write in the same way they read if you're selling an ad in print. So don't do that. Write in cup of coffee language. Number 4, don't be a dick. What I mean by that is, you ever read these ads that say, I'm selling this and this is how much it is, and if you don't like it, that's not my problem. Don't call me. No lowball offers. Well, I mean, listen, you are putting something for sale online. You can deliver that message so much nicer. Like you could say something like, I'm putting this for sale at $1,400. I really don't have any flexibility right now. Maybe if this item still hasn't sold in a few months, I'd be open to different offers. But for now, I'd prefer, if you don't think that's a fair offer, it's probably not a fit, or something along those lines, you know? But the worst thing to do is come off like an arrogant asshole. Like you're looking to get money out of people and you're going to be a dick. It's just, and you'll make a lot more money just being nice. I hope you got a lot out of this. Let me know if you did or if you didn't, and we'll finish the rest of these up in episode number 45. Thanks for listening. Go to everyonelovesguitar.com and sign up to get notified of future episodes along with the latest guitar-related updates. And join our community on Facebook at facebook.com/everyonelovesguitar. We hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, subscribe to the Everyone Loves Guitar podcast, and you can do this online at everyonelovesguitar.com or on iTunes. And if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star positive review. The more 5-star reviews we get, the higher our show ranks, and higher rankings mean we get to continue speaking with cool, interesting guests on our show. We'll see you on the next episode, and until then, keep playing your guitar and have fun making music.